Hoy vamos a estudiar los nombres de los libros de la Torá. El primero se llama Bereshit, con el Principado los cielos y tierra creó. El segundo se llama Shemot, son los nombres de los hijos de Israel que a Egipto descendieron y luego Elohim los liberó. La Torá es un regalo del Eterno para estudiar. Tiene muchos tesoros que encontrar. Vamos todos a estudiar la Torá. El tercero se llama Vaikra. El Eterno llamó a Moisés, pues quería acercarse al pueblo de Israel. El cuarto se llama Bemidbar. En la estepa Israel peregrinó y muchas pruebas pasaron ahí, pero el Eterno nunca los dejó. La Torá es un regalo del Eterno para estudiar. Tiene muchos tesoros que encontrar. Vamos todos a estudiar la Torá. La Torá es un regalo del Eterno para estudiar. Tiene muchos tesoros que encontrar. Vamos todos a estudiar la Torá. El quinto se llama Devarim, son las palabras que el Eterno repitió a una nueva generación, y así en su tierra pudieran habitar. La Torá es un regalo del Eterno para estudiar. Tiene muchos tesoros que encontrar. Vamos todos a estudiar la Torá. La Torá es un regalo del Eterno para estudiar. Tiene muchos tesoros que encontrar. Vamos todos a estudiar la Torá. Vamos todos a estudiar la Torá. Vamos todos a estudiar la Torá.
Hello, nuevo niños. Presents my little manna. Shabbat
Shabbat Shalom, Talmidei Yeshua Messiah. Very good morning, afternoon, or night, wherever you are, little friends. We hope you're having a blessed day of rest with your family. Today's our first delivery studying the book of Bemidbar in the series, My Little Manna. Thanks to the Father for allowing us to begin the fourth book of the Torah. Thank you for participating. We'll greet you and then we'll move on with the announcements. Shabbat Shalom to Jonathan Llanos, Shelly Miranda, Mikael Miranda, my sister Mia Grijalova, my brother Jeremiah Grijalova, Loida Barley Forbes, Martin Muller, Claudia C., my mom Maria Grijalova, Jackie Luz, Dadeline Gutierrez, Joel Miranda, Leah Ana Vitate, Sonia Moya, Joan Luz, Honoris y sus pequeñas, del Familia Fleshman, Mary Vasquez, Mariela Marin, Angie Luz, Marichelle Gutierrez, Edelyn Gutierrez, Vito Wanet, Maria Moquecho. Shabbat Shalom to the brothers and sisters who greet us from Facebook and those who will be listening to the recording. Thank you for being here during this time of study, and thank you for being here during this time of study, and thank you for your trust and participating with us. With the favor of the Eternal, we will continue with the live broadcast every first Shabbat of each new biblical month. For now, we have already begun the first month of the biblical calendar. You can contact us through the social media of Facebook, Instagram, and on the website www.cielosnuevosytierranueva.org. Also through the contact number on WhatsApp and Telegram, so you can send your photos and videos to tell us from which country or city you watch us from. Our number is +52 33 35 08 21 54. As you already know, today we begin our study of the fourth book of the Torah, Bemidbar, or also known as the Book of Numbers. Do you know what Bemidbar means? Bemidbar means in the wilderness or in the desert. And it is in this book where we are told about the long journey that the people of Israel walked through the desert, being tested by Elohim before reaching the promised land. Surely you have read or heard how the Almighty maintained his people for a period of 40 years, and how they witnessed his great miracles and signs. By studying this book, we will learn from Israel's example, and we will be guided by the Ruach HaKodesh, so we don't fall into disbelief or make the same mistakes they did. For just like them, we are also tested. However, we have Yeshua, our great minister, who also instructs us in our pilgrimage. The scriptures in Hebrew chapter 3 from verse 12 to 14 says, "See to it, brothers and sisters, that none of you has a sinful, unbelieving heart that turns away from the living Elohim, but encourage one another daily, as long as it called today, so that none of you may be hardened by sin's deceitfulness. We have come to share in Mashiach. If needed, we hold our original conviction firmly to the very end." Before we start, let's pray. Eternal Father, thank you so much for the opportunity you have given us to enjoy the Shabbat, to rest and spend it with our families together, learning more about you. I ask you to help us obey your Torah and prepare our minds and hearts to receive your biblical feast. In the name of your Son, Yeshua, our Messiah. Amen. Go ahead, Jeremiah.
Thank you, Samantha. Shalom, little friends. Greetings from Jeremiah. On this occasion, we will begin the study of the book of Bemidbar. In chapter 1, the Eternal spoke to Moshe in the tent of meeting in the desert of Sinai on the first day of the second month of the second year after the Israelites came out of Egypt, saying, "Take a census of the children of Israel by their families. You will count every male from 20 years old and older who is fit for war, along with Aaron and a leader from each tribe." Moshe and Aaron obey the eternal, gathering each tribe leader by name. Thus, on the first day of the second month, the entire congregation was grouped according to the houses of their fathers. Those who were counted from the descendants of Reuben, males from 20 years old and up, were 46,500. From the descendants of Simeon, males from 20 years old and up, 59,300. From the descendants of Gad, males from 20 years old and up, were 45,650. From the descendants of Judah, males from 20 years old and up, were 74,600. From the descendants of Issachar, men from 20 years old and up, were 54,400. From the descendants of Zebulun, men from 20 years old and up, were 57,400. From the descendants of Joseph, Ephraim, men from 20 years old and up, were 40,500. And of Manasseh, men from 20 years old and up, were 32,200. From the descendants of Benjamin, men from 20 years old and up, were 35,400. From the descendants of Dan, males from 20 years old and up, were 62,700. From the descendants of Asher, males from 20 years old and up, were 41,500. From the descendants of Naphtali, men from 20 years old and up, were 53,400. Then they were counted by Moshe and Aaron with the 12 leaders of Israel, each one representing his family. All of the male children of Israel that were numbered from 20 years old and upward were 603,550. But the Levites were not counted with them. The Eternal spoke to Moshe, saying, "You will not count the tribe of Levi, nor count their number among the children of Israel. But you will place the Levites in the tent of meeting and over all its utensils and everything it belonged to it. They are to carry it and all its furnishings. They are to take care of it and encamp around it. Whenever the tent of meeting is to move, the Levites are to take it down. And whenever it is to be set up, the Levites shall do it. But the outsider who approaches it will die. The Israelites are to set up their tents out by divisions, each of them in their own camp under their standard. The Levites, however, are to set up their tents around the tabernacle of the covenant law, so that my wrath will not fall on the Israelite community. The Levites, however, are to set up their tents around the tent of meeting, so that my wrath will not fall on the Israelite community. All the children of Israel did according to all that the Eternal had commanded Moshe. How many numbers? Great quantities. They counted many numbers. Let's continue learning. Go ahead, Mia.
Thank you, Jeremiah. Shabbat Shalom, little friends. Greetings from me. In Bemidbar, chapter 2, the Eternal instructs Moshe on how each tribe should camp around the Mishkan. Everything had to follow a specific order according to the cardinal points, and they had to have a preparation for when the people had to move. Each tribe knew its place and when to advance. They were divided into 4 main groups, led by Judah to the east, Reuben to the south, Ephraim to the west, and Dan to the north. Tribe of Judah is the first mentioned and occupies the place of honor to the east of the Mishkan. Judah, the largest tribe, will be in front when the people move, with Issachar and Zebulun at his side. Tribe of Reuben is located south of the Mishkan, second in size. Reuben will be behind Judah as he moves, with Simeon and Gad at his side. Tribe of Ephraim. It occupies the west side of the Mishkan. Ephraim, a descendant of Joseph, has a prominent place with Manasseh and Benjamin at his side. Tribe of Dan is north of the Mishkan, the smallest of the four main ones. Dan has his specific place with Asher and Naphtali at his side. Levites around the Mishkan. The Levites who are responsible for the service and care of the Mishkan camp around the Mishkan itself, forming a circle of protection. The Levites were divided into three main families: Gershom, Kohath, and Merari. The prophet Ezekiel had the vision of how the tribes were organized, described in this chapter, Ezekiel chapter 48, verses 30 to 35. These will be the exits of the city, beginning on the north side, which is 4,500 cubits long. The three gates on the north side will be the gate of Reuben, the gate of Judah, and the gate of Levi. And Revelation chapter 21, verses 12 to 13, describes the New Jerusalem that reflects the organization of the camp of Israel, described in chapter 2 of Bemidbar. With the tribes arranged around the Mishkan, and says, It had a great and high wall with 12 gates, and at the gates were 12 angels. On the gates were written the names of the 12 tribes of Israel. There were 3 gates on the east, 3 on the north, 3 on the south, and 3 on the west. In summary, little friends, this chapter details the arrangement of the tribes of Israel around the Mishkan and the desert. These arrangements reflect a precise organization with specific tribes located in the cardinal directions and the Levites surrounding the Mishkan. This organization is very important for the journey of the people of Israel through the desert, and we focus on the importance of being obedient and following the instructions of the Eternal in their life and in their pilgrimage through the desert. Go ahead, Samantha. Thank you, Mia. Thanks, Mia. Shalom, little friends. Let's continue with chapter 3 of Bemidbar. The Eternal gives a commandment to Moshe to take a census of every male of the land of Israel from 20 years old and above, and to establish a leader from each tribe and camp around the Mishkan according to what was assigned by the Almighty. The Levites to whom Moshe and Aaron belonged were also counted, but already from a month old or more were established to perform a service very special before the Eternal in the Mishkan and in between the other tribes from the people of Israel. Aaron and his sons Nadab the firstborn, Abihu, Eleazar, and Ithamar had been chosen and consecrated to serve in the Mishkan, knowing that Nadab and Abihu had been cut off, for they offered an unauthorized fire before the Eternal in the desert of Sinai. The Eternal brought forth the tribe of Levi to assist Aaron to serve and carry out every task established and necessary for the whole community of the people of Israel, especially in the Mishkan, by taking care of all the furnishing of the Mishkan. Anyone else different from the tribe of Levi would be cut off from the people. The Eternal chose the tribe of Levi as his firstborn instead of the firstborn of Israel, just as he chose the animals of the Levites instead of those of the people. Just as he showed his will with the death of the firstborn in Egypt, he now did it with the life and service of the firstborn of Israel and their animals. The Eternal Father ordered to count each male from the month and older of the sons of Levi according to their families. They were assigned assigned to camp around the tent of meeting and take care of the tent and its coverings, the door curtain, the curtains of the courtyard, and the ropes and everything related to their use. Others assigned to the south were responsible for the care of the ark, the table, the menorah, the altars, the utensils of the sanctuary, and the veil, and everything related to their use. Then those assigned to the north and in charge of the custody of the boards of the sanctuary, its bars, its columns, its bases, and all its equipment and everything related to their use, as well as the post of the surrounding courtyard with the bases, tent pegs, and ropes. And those assigned to the east were Moshe and Aharon and their sons. They were responsible for the sanctuary instead of the children of Israel. Anyone else who approached the sanctuary was to be put to death. Since the firstborn of the people of Israel exceeded the number of the Levites by 273, Moshe was to take 5 shekels for each one, according to the shekel of the sanctuary. This money was to be given to Aharon and his sons. In total, he collected 1,365 shekels. Moshe did everything as he was commanded by the word of the Eternal. Application. Just as Aharon was chosen and set apart to serve as an intercessor, guide, and example or testimony between the Creator and the people, so Yeshua was sent as the only identified Korban to return us to the Almighty. Yeshua, our great Kohen Hagadol, and head of our earthly Mishkan, and we began many members of the Mishkan. Each one is assigned a specific function. And this has been my little manna for today. Go ahead, Jeremiah.
Thanks, Samantha. Shalom, little friends. Greetings from Jeremiah. Let's continue with chapter 4 of Bemidbar. In this chapter, we will study the different tasks assigned to the Levites in the furniture of the Mishkan according to the family to which they belong. All this to assemble and disassemble the Mishkan whenever the cloud would indicate it. The Levites were divided into 3 main families: Kohath, Gershon, and Merari. Each one had specific responsibilities in the Mishkan, which later became the temple in Jerusalem. The Kohath, Numbers chapter 4, verse 1 to 16, begins with the family of the Kohathites or Kohath, because they were in charge of the most sacred things of the holy place. They had the Ark of the Testimony, the table of positions, the lamp with utensils for pouring the oil, the golden altar, and the altar with its instruments, the plates, dishes, and bowls, and the jars for drink offerings. Before being transported, Aaron and his sons were to cover these objects, beginning with the Ark of the Testimony, using the tent veil, deer skins, and a blue cloth with sticks. Each element had precise instructions for its transport. The color of the covers has a meaning that implies to the Messiah: blue, the sky; purple, royalty; crimson, their sacrifice; and the animal skin, coverage. Once covered, the Kohathites could transport them except for the oil for the light, the fragrant incense, the regular grain offering, and the anointing oil, which Eleazar was in charge of. In Numbers chapter 4, 17 to 20, the Creator adds super important instructions, which were a matter of life or death so that they would transport those items the right way. 1. Aaron and his sons will indicate the positions of the Kohathites. 2. They must not go in to look at the holy things even for a moment, or they will die. The Gershon. From Numbers 4 to chapter 4, verse 21 to 28, we see that the Gershonites, although they were not in charge of the sacred things, it was also very important that what they transported. They were to carry the curtains of the tent of meeting, the curtains for the entrance of the other elements of the sanctuary. Each piece was necessary, and they were under the supervision of Ithamar. This brings us a teaching to this day, despite the fact that these things are no longer done, and there is no earthly place. Each person contributes in different ways for the same purpose, having mainly the Messiah who raised the place being each soul that forms it with different functions in the body of the Messiah. We see this in 1 Corinthians chapter 12, verse 12 to 27. Um, the Mirad in Numbers chapter 4, 29 to 33, those who belong to this family, they will be in charge of carrying the support of the tent with its crossboards, posts, and bases, tent pegs, and ropes, including all the equipment and all the work related to them under the direction of Ithamar. Um, in number 4, verse 34 through 49, we see that finally by the Eternal's command an account is taken again from the tribe of Levi by their families. Quote, Rishon and Merah, specific meant 30 to 50 years of age that determine the stage of work in the sanctuary. Each family according to the position held. The Kohath had 2,750. The Gershon had 2,630. The Merari had 3,200. And all 8,580 Levites in the service of the Mishkan. All this shows us the detailed organization of the service in the sanctuary and the importance of each Levitical family in the fulfillment of the purpose and service. Hello, friends. This chapter teaches us that our service to the Eternal must be carried out with obedience, order, and purpose. For each Levite had a specific function with the Mishkan. Holiness and respect is very important for the sacred things, since the Kohathites had to follow precise instructions to handle the altars of the sanctuary. Unity and contribution are also important because each group played a fundamental role. In addition, a service requires preparation and discipline. We see this in the section of men between 30 to 50 years old. Finally, although today there is no sanctuary here on earth, every believer has a role in the body of the Messiah and must contribute their gifts to fulfill the Creator's purpose with faithfulness and commitment. Well, little friends, this has been my little manna for today. Shalom. Go ahead, Mia.
Thank you, Jeremiah. Shalom, little friends. Now we will continue learning. And Bemidbar chapter 5 shows how the Eternal gave important commandments for Israel to live in holiness and harmony in the desert. He wanted his people to be different from the other nations. This is why he established instructions on purity, justice, and fidelity. In this chapter, there are three main points that will help us understand it better. Point 1. Separation from the impure. The Eternal commands that any person who had leprosy, an issue of blood, or had touched a corpus would be sent out of the campground. This does not mean those people were despised, but the Eternal wanted the people to remain pure and healthy. Imagine a huge campground with thousands of people living together, and someone gets sick with something contagious. In those times, there were no hospitals or medicine like now. Even today, in a pandemic, sick people must isolate themselves. Therefore, if someone had leprosy or another contagious disease, the Eternal ordered them to stay outside the camp for a time. It wasn't because he didn't love them, but to protect the others and prevent anyone from getting sick. Think about it like this. If you have the flu and you keep hugging your family, the next day everyone will be sick. The Eternal thought about the well-being of everyone. This is why he established this rule. Nowadays, although we no longer follow these rules in the same way, the principle is still valid. That the Eternal wants us to take care of our body and also our heart, distancing ourselves from everything that contaminates us, physically and spiritually. Point 2. Justice and restitution of damage. If a person stole or deceived someone, he would not only be hurting his neighbor, but he would also be sinning against the Eternal. For this reason, the Eternal established that the guilty must confess his fault and return what he stole, adding an extra 20% of compensation. With this, little friends, we can see that it was not enough to just say I'm sorry and continue as if nothing had happened. The person who caused the damage had to return what he had stolen, and also add a little more of compensation. This not only showed his remorse, but he also helped bring justice for what had happened. Imagine that someone steals something that belongs to you that you really like, and then comes and tells you, "Oops, sorry." Obviously, that does not fix anything. It would be fair if I gave you back what belongs to you. Isn't that right, little friends? Now let's continue with point 3. The test for a wife suspected of infidelity. This is one of the most curious and striking passages in chapter 5. The Eternal establishes a test for the case in which a husband suspects that his wife has been unfaithful to him, but he has no proof. It all began with a husband become jealous because he suspected that his wife had relations with another person. The husband would take his wife to the minister and had to take an offering of 2 liters of barley flour. The minister would make the woman drink water that carried a curse and would make an oath. The minister will write the curse on a piece of leather and then wash it so that it falls into the bitter water. If she was guilty, it would cause her bitter suffering, for her abdomen would swell and her uterus would shrink. But if she had not been contaminated and was pure, then she would be unharmed and could have children. In this law, we can see that for the Eternal, it is very important that we maintain our fidelity to Him, to His instructions, and to our Messiah Yeshua. Now I will go with the conclusion. The first 5 chapters of the Numbers shows us how the Eternal prepared His people for the great mission of entering the Promised Land. These chapters are full of instructions on organization, service, purity, and justice. Chapter 1 and 2. The Eternal organizes the tribes of Israel and establish their position in the campground and on the march. Each tribe had its place and its function, showing that the Eternal is an Elohim of order. Chapter 3 and 4. Specific functions were assigned to the Levites, those in charge of taking care of the tent of meeting and everything related to its service. Chapter 5. Standards of purity, justice, fidelity are established in the people. These chapters teach us that the Eternal wants us to live in holiness and order, not on an impulsive desire, for He knows what is best for us. Just as in a family, there are rules to help everyone live in harmony. The Eternal sets rules so that His people live in blessing. And to review this delivery, we have a PDF with teachings. Remember that we will leave the link below in the description with the instruction for how to do it with the help of mom and dad. And don't forget to share your photos and videos of the process and the results. Little friends, we now say goodbye. Well, it is Shabbat, a day to rest and dedicate it to the study of the Torah. Shabbat Shalom.
Let the children come, let them come to Him. With the Master Yeshua we're going to learn. Let the children come, let them come to Him. Blowing our shofar in obedience to Him. 'Cause the kingdom of the heavens is for the children. Let us sing, let us sing, let us sing to Adonai. Come to serve the eternal Elohim. In His Torah to walk and never depart. To learn since our childhood and never lose my faith. 'Cause the kingdom of the heavens is for the children. Let the children come, let them come to Him. With the Master Yeshua we are going to learn. Let the children come, let them come to Him. Blowing our shofar in obedience to Him. 'Cause the kingdom of the heavens is for the children. Let us sing, let us sing, let us sing to Adonai. Come to serve the eternal Elohim. In His Torah to walk and never depart. To learn since our childhood and never lose. Let us sing, let us sing, let us sing to Adonai. Come to serve the eternal Elohim. In His Torah to walk and never depart. To learn since our childhood and never lose my faith. 'Cause the kingdom of the heavens is for the children. 'Cause the kingdom of the heavens is for the children. 'Cause the kingdom of the heavens is for the children.